Alrighty, everybody. We are back and live and at it. I'm here in Pittsburgh, hosting episode 5 of this lovely webinar. Our previous series did so well. I had to send Hillary a thank you email because we got some amazing notes from Hillary and amazing responses from the students and local filmmakers here in Pittsburgh about her webinar. But today, we're not talking about Hillary. We're going to be talking about Ben Asciutto from Pitt to Saturday Night Live because I have never worked in episodic TV before. Besides, what you call Netflix and episodic TV? I don't. But we have somebody who does this for, he brings home the bacon with this job. So please introduce yourself, Ben. We're more than happy to have you here. Tell us all about yourself and let's get started.
Well, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Thanks, Adam, and thanks, Max, for hosting this. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. I am Ben Asciutto, from New Jersey originally. Went to Pitt, followed my sister, who also went there, and majored in film and business there, in a dual degree with the Honors College, and graduated in 2023. And then shortly thereafter, started working at Saturday Night Live, as a production assistant for the film unit. So it's all the pre-recorded sketches and like the fake commercials and the music videos and everything that's not live. And yeah, it's been a great roller coaster. I've been doing it. This is now my third season. I was promoted this season to key production assistant, so responsible for the other 11 or so PAs on set. And yeah, living in Brooklyn, and that's my story.
There you go. It's impressive. And by Saturday Night Live, guys, he means Saturday Night Live. This is not a knockoff. This is not a spin-off. He means SNL from New York City. So this is pretty cool. I'm very privileged. I'm very honored to be sitting here and talking to somebody that is fresh and raw off of the set. But I mean, you mentioned you studied business and film, which is something I did as well.
Oh,
But yeah, so I do a lot of the business side in film. So, yes, line producing, accounting, budget keeping, union track. You understand the dealio. But I guess our first question is how did your academic experiences translate once you kind of left college and entered work? Yeah, how did that play out for you?
um, it well, I guess firstly, film and business started with me. The idea of it started in high school. To keep a long story short, I basically fell in love with photography first in high school, and decided, based on just a random opportunity of my photography teacher being like, "Does anyone want a summer job?" That turned into meeting Pat Capone, who was the director of photography or cinematographer for Succession, so on HBO. So he was the head of the camera department there, and just visited my first set then, which was HBO Succession on like the 34th floor of the Freedom Tower in New York City, and just loved everything about it. Loved the collaboration and the fact that you could call this kind of a work day with over 100 people working to create such an amazing show with amazing and talented people. So that's where film came from. And then the business side of it was kind of, honestly, in the beginning, was a little bit of a backup because my whole family's from like the business background. My dad was in sales in the city for a long time, and my mom does it now on the nonprofit side, and my sister, same kind of deal. So I used it as kind of like a pretty much a backup option for film, just in case that side of it didn't really work out. Because there's so many creative decisions, and it's such a risk-taking business that like I figured it'd be a nice pairing. But at the same time, what I slowly realized was it was super important to have the business side of it, because again, this industry is just a business, and having an understanding of where the numbers are coming from and bottom lines, and that whole side of it has and continues to be super knowledgeable to know. So it was really nice pairing. It allowed me to meet double the amount of people at Pitt because of it. And yeah, I mean, I definitely tell Pitt students that reach out to me that there's plenty of positions at NBC or other places that fit into those kind of business degree requirements of like finance or accounting or HR, or marketing. Those positions exist definitely in the fullest capacity at studios and NBC and across the board. So just something to think about. It doesn't have to be the most creative decision if you go down that path.
Right, right. I think I speak on everyone's behalf saying you're the alumni that we are so grateful for because one, you still keep in contact with current students who are paving their brick road to success. And secondly, you keep things straight, which is great. Business is a big thing in film. I may be biased saying that creatives are very important, but before you can even get, you know, films made, you have to understand business, at least the bare minimum of it. And I guess I can say thank you for keeping in contact with students and still advising them, even if you don't have to, right? Because you've been in the professional world before and you understand what goes on out there. So I'm speaking on everyone's behalf, I hope, saying thank you for that. But you
That's very
know,
nice. Yeah,
yeah,
thank
of
you.
course. Students, when they make films, sometimes they feel like they're not or what would you say, contributing to their success or their future, which is not true. So early on, you worked on student productions and documentaries and independent projects and things like that. How
Right.
did those student experiences help you build credibility and prepare you for your professional sets?
So yeah, firstly, thank you again. And I will say that the um, you got to pay it forward. And I was in the same position of everyone in this chat, or the people that reach out to me, and just trying to learn more about the film industry from the time I was in high school and going off to school. And it's just for the next generation, gotta give back, and I'm happy to do it. But yeah, to get into that question, I would say as much as classroom and coursework are important, and I'm not denying that. I think that there is equal importance, if not greater, in the extracurricular experiences that you do at a school like Pitt or at any other film schools across the country. Or, anything that really gives you that um, super involved experience of what a professional set would look like, or how to budget for one, or trusting the right crew members to do something, even if it's just your friends outside, outside the classroom. It's just that's the name of the game. And if you think about it like on a broader scale, that's really what I'm doing now. Like, relying on friends, the amount of jobs I get through word of mouth just by knowing someone and getting along with them. And it's the same environment, just on a bigger scale with a lot more money. Um, because these shows are obviously bigger. But, if you really dive into it and get a sense of what it's like to have a lot of different projects and, be directing stuff, and also having the time to learn, and learning about the different periods of film at the same time of applying that stuff to your kind of directorial style or your writing style, that'll just move you along a lot quicker, because you have a better understanding, a better confidence of how to get stuff done once you're out of school. And you also learn like the pros and cons of like what one person does well on one set versus another set. A lot of things can change, and also realizing that it's a people business and just keeping in contact. So I definitely encourage everyone to be involved in clubs like Scene and Pit Tonight. Those had huge influences on me. And yeah, go to those club meetings, meet the right people, start making stuff. I wish I made more things, honestly, but you know, don't waste that opportunity to really go out and and yeah, start producing, start filming, start directing, all that.
Right. It's a tale as old as time. And I've touched base with this with Jenny Booker, who is now running social medias for the Pittsburgh Film Office. And her and I,
Nice.
yeah, she is brilliant. And we just had a webinar and we talked about how important here's the word, networking is. And every single person I've asked who works in the industry, it's not what you know at first, which is very important, don't get me wrong, but it's who you know, right? People don't invest in skills
Yeah,
as soon as they invest in other people. People invest in people. If they believe in you, they'll get you a job, right?
totally.
Yeah, but networking can feel, I mean, it's intimidating. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're trying to do all these things at once, trying to introduce yourself, trying to make yourself seem like you're worth the job. It's very intimidating for students who haven't been in that, situation before. So how do you approach in building professional networks? I mean, you've already told us how it paid off, but before that, how do you build the courage and what do you do to start networking and feeling confident about it when you go home and sleep at night?
Yeah, so it took me a while to figure that out, and I think it really just comes with repetition. So I kind of made it a goal when I was at Pitt to talk to two new people a week, and that's a little bit of an extreme goal, and I don't really recommend it. But at least one person a week, I think, just like a virtual coffee chat, and it could be as simple as just a LinkedIn message saying, "Hey, my name is Ben. I saw that you have this position. I'm super interested in that type of role. I was wondering if you had the time to chat." And if they're going to answer, they're going to say yes. And I think with repetition, just talking to the same people and seeing what types of roles they're in, you realize that everyone's just a human, everyone's just doing their job, and also are super helpful because they know what it's like. They've been in that position before. So just try to keep those things in your back of your head. Um, and yeah, you're exactly right. It's a definitely a people business, and also try to be conversational. Don't be too robotic. I even got to a point, I would really dive into researching this person ahead of time, and having understanding of every ins and outs of their career, and that's helpful. But I would say just a light research. You don't have to dive into past interviews and look at quotes they've said, stuff like that. Just have an understanding of what their position entails and where they've worked and maybe where they're from, and just walk in with that, because I think if you're curious through talking to someone, it just makes things a lot more engaging. So that would be my recommendation, and then it just gets easier with time. I mean, I'm at certain points now, I don't even go in with knowing a whole bunch, but just the fact that you can just talk one-on-one and share your experiences, and always seeking to learn too. That's important too. Never, I'm sure everyone's heard this a million times, but never go in asking for a job or anything like that, but just go in seeking to learn. You're eager, you're curious, and it'll open doors for you. Maybe not after that first meeting, but after maybe the third or fourth meeting. So yeah, it's the name of the game.
Yep, that is very true. Be personable, be human, right? Don't be a robot
For
when you're
sure.
at work.
For
That is
sure.
so important. I mean, like, people
Yeah.
invest in people, so the personality really matters when you network. But let's get into SNL because I think that's a really cool gig. What is your like? I guess you can say, can you walk us through how you actually landed your role at Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, totally. So I like I said, I put the effort in to reach out to people on LinkedIn, and basically I reached out to this individual who was a Pitt alum that worked as a coordinator on the show, and reached out to him in like February, and I was graduating in April of that year, and said, just the same kind of message. And he responded, and we hopped on a call and we chatted, and he told me about, the film unit PA position, as well as the film unit in general. And we immediately kept in touch. And again, it's a matter like for anyone that's here that goes to Pitt, like the Pitt connection is strong across alum. So always keep that in mind when you're looking to reach out to people. But um, so we kept in touch, and then the strikes hit, the writer's strike and the actor's strike hit, and then so that kind of flew through the whole summer. And then when the writer's strike hit, I reached back out to him because I knew SNL was coming back that season for season 49. And some things happened, and eventually I was able to get in contact with another person at the show that was taking over, and I had a phone interview with them the same day I emailed them, and then got a text the next day saying, "Can you work tomorrow?" And that was the start of it. And so that was the season 49 premiere. And yeah, and I worked 3 days a week there as part of the film unit, and that's how it's always been for me. And yeah, just super grateful for everyone there. It's just been a blast. But yeah, that's kind of how it started, and that's honestly that's how most things start, especially in production. Is just like being ready to go, getting even a text. I mean, all my jobs are through text. I would say 99% of them are through just a text. Any kind of freelance gigs or anything like that. So, yeah, again, being personable and being remembered, and yeah, doors will open, such as that.
I I say my first, oh, that's not my first. My big gig here when I got the job was through text as well, and it was like, "Hey,
Yeah,
are you available next week for a
literally.
full-time position on this film? You'll be working 12 hours every day, 5 days
Exactly.
a week." And it takes a little bit of courage in your own soul to say, hell yeah, like let's
Yeah.
do it, right? And the pay is good, the experience is great, but it's very tiring. And when you take that leap forward, you kind of just have to have that trust in yourself first. So that's very important as well. Would you agree?
Totally. Yeah, I think there's no mention of a resume. There's no mention of a GPA, just so everyone knows. Not that those things aren't important. They definitely are still important. Um, but yeah, it's really comes down to that. And it's also, I've been telling a lot of students now that like, maybe just bite the bullet. And if you're not from New York, move to New York. I was fortunate enough to be in New Jersey. I grew up right outside the city. So, I was able to do that commute. Um, but it's just a matter of really being in the same location as these jobs because that just opens a lot of doors almost immediately. Because if you have to do these quick shifts where you need to be on set tomorrow and they need you, if you're in the same city and you're working at your local barista, I mean, working as a barista or working retail, and you're able to just call out for 1 day or 2 days, whatever the case is, just to work this, like that's where the stuff starts rolling. Because once you get your first job in production, you get your next one, and people know people, and you say you're looking for more things. Always be intentional. Always share what you want to do. Um, Always look for the next opportunity. And people will think about you.
No, I mean, yeah, it's like a dance. You have to choreograph how your week looks like. You work 3 days a week, right? And then maybe there's other supplementary income. It's that thing you
Right.
just gotta go through as a young filmmaker, and it's very important. But like for students who only see the fun, you just came from set, am I correct, before this webinar?
I did. Yeah.
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 So like you're running, you're working, you're making things. But for those who just see it on the final or I guess you could say, but finally, just see it on TV. Like, what does a typical day look like for you prepping those stuff or working on the film unit that's not on the live unit, that's not on stage, and that's not on air?
Yeah. So the film unit's most similar to what other commercials and television shows and movies look like in terms of what the set looks like. I mean, we have our own differences just because we need to, and a show that's been running for 51 years kind of adapts its own style. But yeah, I mean, for SNL, there's a prep day. So we get the sketches Wednesday night, and my bosses go into a meeting and with the director and the writer and whoever's involved and all the bigwigs, and they go into a meeting and pretty much um, design what it's going to look like, because we operate off of like two massive sound stages. So, like for a set, let's say you can either be on a stage, which is a contained environment, like you would see like, at the Paramount lot, or, in a traditional sense, in a closed environment, or you could be on location, which we also do occasionally, and I do for other freelance positions. But and that'll be out on the street, and I'm sure people pass that, in different cities you visit and stuff like that. But so Thursday is our prep day, and that's really where everything kind of comes together at lightning speed. And we're going around pretty much getting all the necessary parts, like building the set, what's needed for that, like the props. So I was in the art department, and I would be responsible for working with them. And I'm sure there's tons of stuff online. You can look at every type of position, and it's super important to know every position and what they do. So I work with like the set dressers and decorators, and go around shopping with them, and essentially like pick up all different types of props. And there's a bunch of stories there. And so that would be Thursday, as more materials are coming in, equipment's coming in, just to see what's needed. Like, if we got to do this big crane shot, we got to get a massive jib that needs to come from a certain place in New Jersey, and how we're going to coordinate that and stuff like that. So it's putting all the pieces together, and then there's an overnight crew that comes in and finishes the set. So by the time I get there on Friday, which is when we shoot everything, then everything's complete. So we've built everything on a stage. It's incredible. Like, we've built lakes, we've built airplanes, we've built subway trains, we've built Barbie World, we've built other planets. We've built plenty of houses. So there's a lot. There's nothing we can't build, essentially. So, and there's just an amazing crew that does it. So, by the time we come in Friday, everything's pretty much done. It's incredible. It's like nothing else. And so you walk into this other world. We built Hogwarts last week. It was like insane. So, and that's and then Friday translates pretty much into what a normal movie or TV or film set would look like. Essentially, you have your director, you have your assistant director that I work directly under. You have the talent that comes in, you have the host, whoever's in the piece, you have the sound department, you have the camera department, you have the grip department that's in charge of all the lighting rigs, and then you have the electrics who are in charge of the actual lighting, and then you have the art department who's building the set, as well as the props that are responsible for all the on-air things that you see. And so there's a lot of coordination with a lot of people. That's really the fun part of it all coming together. And it's definitely a rush, and it's definitely an adrenaline rush, because this thing has to air tomorrow night, which is just an insane turnaround for anything else of that scale. Because we're basically, making little movies, essentially, short films and, music videos and commercials. So we shoot into the night, and it's an all day thing. And then we wrap. It gets edited all day Saturday, and then airs at dress rehearsal. If it does well at dress, then it moves on to the live show. And then it airs there. And that week is done. We wrap everything out on Monday, and we start all over again with a new host.
Okay, okie doke. Hey, if you can dream it, SNL can build it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, that's just, oh wow. I can't imagine the crew that has to work overnight trying to build you guys a lake or a space
Yeah.
or
And
more.
things happen too. Yeah.
Right.
Things definitely happen, but like, it's just like the realism that they put into it is amazing. It's just like to really construct something from nothing in a matter of hours is
Yeah. But still cool nonetheless. I mean, that's why filmmaking or even just doing episodic work like this is magical, and that's why everybody wants to be a part of it.
Right.
But I think now that we kind of had a little fireside chat for about 25 minutes, I want to go ahead and involve some of the audience into the discussion.
Sure.
And I guess now that we're opening it up to the chat, we're going to hear some more questions about student-led, or it's not student-led, student-based thinking. But and the first one is like, what would
Sure.
you what's something you wish you did in college that you want to do more of now that you didn't get to do? What's something you wish you'd done earlier in
Yeah.
that realm as well?
That's a really good question. I think I would have liked to, I made a documentary going into my junior year. I got funding from the Honors College, the Creative Arts Fellowship, which was great, a great program. Highly recommend it for anyone. But I would say trying to make, and I think Max and you, Adam, have done a great job of this, but like to try to have a as professional as you can get environment to work with and to work under and to foster that, because if you can like pretty much simulate a $20,000 budget or $50,000 budget, and like a true indie experience where it's above a student film, but you're still hands on and understand every position and can trust certain crew members to do a great job and know who to use and stuff like that. If you can kind of work in that realm on a professional level while still in school or shortly thereafter, I mean, you'll be in a great position, because that's something I've had to kind of learn as I go. And yes, I had experience on sets on a much grander scale, but like in that kind of in between, uh, budget wise and also like experience wise, it was, yeah, it's just a great thing to do. Because it'll just make you a lot more versatile and just a better understanding. And, a lot of people get stuck as a PA, and it's something I've had to deal with. It's the entry level role for a career in this. And, um, if you have the skills and the right people around you, either in Pittsburgh or New York or LA or Chicago or Atlanta, you can really make the leaps to get out of a PA lifestyle and really, start making bigger projects and working with the right people. So yeah, just try to emulate a professional experience as best you can in whatever type of area you want to explore.
I first of all, very inspiring, very, very inspiring because um Max, Nate, and everybody who is a part of 7-8, we try to replicate the actual business. Why? Because one, it's cool, right? It feels good to be a part of a film. And two, we're trying to plant a seed for the Pittsburgh industry to grow professionally. And our line is Pittsburgh's own Hollywood.
Nice.
So that's what we live by, right? Therefore, we emulate a real film experience. We try to
Yeah.
operate how professionals do it. And hearing you say that is very inspiring because you've been in the student world, you've been in the independent world, and you've been into the documentary world, and now you're working on SNL. So you're doing something right, Ben. In whatever order it is, but you're doing something right, which kind of segues into the next audience questions. Like for students who are not sure if they're doing something right or what exactly they want to get into yet in the industry, what kind of entry level experiences should they have on their resume and be confident about it?
Well, first of all, you're a great host, by the way, with all the segues. Really nice stuff. But um, yeah, so the good entry level role, is that or to make them capable? Is that the question?
Yeah, more so like I have been in a position where I like, ooh, I want to be on set, but
Yeah.
how do I even begin? What do I tell the coordinator who's hiring PAs or the production manager who are hiring PAs? What am I good at that makes them want me? I mean,
Right.
usually, hey, do you have a car? Are you trans or are you like
Yeah.
able to move around? But like other among that, going on beyond that, what's a good quality to have before stepping in professionally?
Um, I would say, I mean, there's a few, like definitely like quick decision making is super important. Honestly, what's super applicable is like any kind of service job or customer service, retail or anything, like being on your feet for 8 hours and having to deal with all types of personalities and people that are upset with you and, or want something. I mean, I never had that position, but I totally feel like there's similarities there. But yeah, I think that's super important. Problem solving is crucial too, and also just knowing how to communicate and keep a level head as well. Because things can get pretty tense and um, demanding, and I mean not even just in SNL, but across the board. So just yeah, keeping a level head and understanding that like we just got to get this done, and I'm going to do it to the best I can with urgency is what people are usually looking for. So if you're in a position like that where you're talking to a coordinator, I would honestly say that you've PA'd before and maybe just do the research, even if you haven't, to um, act like you have and kind of fake it till you make it side of it. I mean, there's a lot of times I've said, yeah, I can do that, even though I've never done it before, and then just kind of learn as you go and fire, trial by fire. And that's most of it. It's very daunting, but you'll have those opportunities, and you just got to kind of take it and go with it and realize that mistakes are part of it. And then another thing I would say is also um, short-term memory too. Like that's something that when I played soccer growing up, that was a big part of it because mistakes are part of the game and mistakes are part of this industry for sure. So just having the short-term memory and realizing, okay, I screwed up there, but we got the rest of the day ahead of us. I'm not going to let it affect my attitude, and just, treating everything with equal importance and working hard and all that stuff is crucial. But I'm sure everyone that on this webinar is good for it. The fact that you're tuning in and learning and everything. So, yeah, just some things to keep in mind.
All righty. Well, first of all, thank you for complimenting my hosting skill, but it requires, it really does require the other side to give back. Otherwise, I wouldn't be enjoying. And also, if you think I'm a good host, if you can nudge some people in New York about me and
Yeah, maybe host the show. Yeah, exactly.
no, I
Yeah.
would.
One day. One day.
Live things makes me very nervous. So I don't even know how I'm like functioning right now
You're
because
doing
I am
you're doing
nervous.
a very, very good job.
Oh, thank you, Ben. That's too
Yeah.
kind. But I work in the business side more so on the creative side, right? And I know that film is a two-head beast. But what is it like on the business side of the aspect of SNL? One of the audience's questions is, what's the business aspect of Saturday Night Live like? And that's a good question because I don't want ears because I'm a business savvy man and I really want to know what it is like.
I mean, it's like all it's all a business. I think it's all everything's about not everything. I shouldn't say everything, but a lot of the decisions that are being made are related to budgets because we're operating under NBC as a company, and there's things set in stone that are just the way it is. But again, like having those parameters are also kind of nice because you understand like what's possible in terms of when you're problem solving for different things, um, and that goes in general for not even just SNL, but across the board. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't really interact with like the business heavy positions like accounting and stuff like that. Like I've sent invoices to accounting, but that's pretty much the extent of it. But like, those departments certainly exist. Um, and they have close relationships with the show and other late night shows and all the shows that are run by NBC. It's a part of, like I said before, it's a part of every single company and every single studio. Um, so Yeah, I think it's just a matter of like understanding the budget, and there's great resources out there. There's Film Parliament, if anyone's heard of that, that breaks down budgeting and scheduling for feature films, and that's super helpful to get an understanding of. This is not related, but like knowing how to build your own call sheet is huge too. Um, and if you start working, like we're saying, in a professional sense, like Max and Adam have done, and even, certainly professionals, the two of them, um, having understanding of like what rentals are and what things cost if you want to go like the more producer route, which is the area I'm, working in, want to move up in. So yeah, it's like it's really a matter of just like knowing your numbers and knowing what's fair and what's, and that comes with repetition too. So it's certainly a numbers game. I don't really interact with marketing or social media. I mean, we have like photographers on set that upload to the SNL Instagram. So that's really the extent I know, but it's really not dissimilar to other types of marketing jobs out there. Everyone needs a social media. Everyone needs a social media presence. It's just a matter of what you're shooting. So, just to say, we have all the departments that are required for a business, and those opportunities exist. And what makes it a lot more fun is that you're doing it with creative people and for creative shows.
Amazing. Yep, that's it. That's the business. I mean, it's so I'm very flattered when you say Max and Adam and everybody at 7-8 are professionals because it's like every time I do these webinars or I'm talking to somebody, they put a mirror in front of us. And I do agree we're doing something pretty professional, but I find myself like struggling, fighting through the darkness and making decisions that I don't even know it's gonna be a good decision 3 months later. So you saying that really does mean a lot
Well,
on
that's everyone. Yeah, I mean,
that.
different points of doing that in your life. I feel like, I mean, I'm 25, so I'm very young, but I feel like that's the gist. So
Right. And like you said, fake it till you make it.
yeah.
But there's another question that's very interesting because this person seems like they have been planning, which is good. But what advice do you have for someone graduating in May and wanting to be a PA on SNL? Very specific. And I'm hearing from the key PA on SNL. I'm interested.
um, Graduating May, one, I mean, yeah. I would say, uh, it's a connections thing. I mean, you could just look at the kind of path I had, and just getting to know someone who works at the show or any show that you're interested in the production side of it. So having an understanding of like what the different positions are, like, you're not going to get hired by the director, and you're not going to get hired by an executive producer. You're going to get hired by, like Adam was saying, a PM, a production manager, or a coordinator, or a key PA. Unfortunately, not for SNL because we do things a little differently. But um, yeah, so just getting friendly with the right people, and taking the summer, especially if you're graduating, or even now, if you're graduating in May, taking the summer to work with Max and Adam and to work in the local Pittsburgh scene. Uh, I don't know how things are looking in Pittsburgh right now, but as of a few years ago, there was a lot of stuff shooting there, and I had a few chances to work on some bigger projects, and even being like an additional PA or a day player on a Netflix feature that's shooting there and doing a big action sequence, and doing a lockup on a street corner. I mean, that's like for PA, that's most of the early lessons of it. So, excuse me. So yeah, trying to really seek out those experiences, and um, saying you've PA'd on student films and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's the way to do it. It's a little bit of fake it till you make it, but if you can have those real world experiences at Pittsburgh and in Pittsburgh, that'll be the most helpful thing.
Amazing. I couldn't. What's to answer your question, what's happening in Pittsburgh? Okay, so imagine Pittsburgh as a car, the film industry's the battery. Uh, 7 to 8 right now holds the jumper cables to jump that battery, but we don't know what color those jumper cables are. I'll tell you
Right.
that. So we're
Right.
trying our best into making this thing up, up and coming, running and smooth sailing. But oh boy, do we need to go through all the
You
logistics.
gotta look at Steel Town. You gotta look at Steel Town.
I guess I
Carl.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure Max knows about it, but look at Steel Town. Look what they did. It's a good example for you guys.
He's gonna get a late text from me today after reviewing Steel Town. I'm like, oh my God, this is stuff we need to be a part of.
Yeah.
But whoever sent in that question, you got some good notes, and I've been
Yeah.
writing this down because all it boils down to is one, networking, in which we've covered 1,000 times, and just being a decent human, right? Most
Totally.
of the time, people work with enjoyable people, and being nice will probably get you in a lot more doors than boasting your skills and being egotistic.
Right.
So I guess that's just one thing that I want to throw into the ring as well is just be a kind human. Even if you don't get the job, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. And keeping that good relationship with other people secures you more so in not in the industry per se, but secures you in a good standing relationship with that person. Am I correct? Is that something that you would agree to, Ben?
Yeah, of course, of course. It's all about the people you work with. That's the name of the game. Yeah, so don't start any grudges. Um, there's all walks of life, really. There's all walks of life, and not everyone's born into it, or there are people that are born into it, but there's also, there's all walks of life. So just be appreciative and nice to everyone, and everyone's under the same pressure, and you'll realize it's all just coming down the line. If they're yelling at you, it's because they're getting yelled at by someone else. So just
Yeah,
keep,
people forget that the big wigs, like the execs and the
yeah,
directors and the people making the call, also do have people to report to, and those
yeah,
are the
exactly.
investors, or so it's like I
Yeah,
said, it does come down the line.
yeah.
Very good point. But I'm gonna go ahead and almost wrap this up with one last question, and this is an interesting one because I kind of
All right.
gotta go into your brain and see what you think about this whole industry. But if I were to just completely delete everything and for you and you gotta go start all over again today without zero or with no connections, without any help, with zero assistant, what would your first moves be? Like, let's limit it to three. What are your first three moves?
What age am I? Am I in college?
You know what? Um, oh darn it. How about let's say you just graduated. You've done your student films,
Okay.
you've
Yeah.
done your documentary that was independently led, but it's what you have today does not exist. What are your first three moves? Are they the same or are they different?
I would, I guess, leverage the connections I've already made by having more serious conversations with them about, like, hey, I'm in this city. Hey, I'm looking for this type of work. If you have that relationship with them, that's also super important. I wouldn't, if you don't, just try to get that. But I would say that. I would say number two is save up. Um, and I was at home for 8 months after I graduated, which is a short amount of time. And I was like, I have zero patience in everything. So I was ready to go, pretty early on. But saving up is super important. You'll never be in a situation like that again, where you can be at home, have pretty much no expenses coming right out of school. So save up, take that job at the ice cream parlor, just try to get some money in the bank. Seriously, it's a lifesaver. Um, yeah. And thirdly, I would say uh, I would say have fun and don't stress yourself out. And yeah, always just realize that, like, you're in an industry of, like, the make believe, and it's not rocket science, and it's not surgery, and just try to be easygoing and level-headed and approach that, because it's going to take a while to get into something. But if you're in the right headspace, things will pan out eventually. So yeah, don't be disgruntled, but just keep on keeping on.
Okay, perfect. But I guess I just want to put in my 2 cents. I've heard a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I don't want to do PA work. That's just it's too much. I feel like I have more within my, wheelhouse rather than just running around grabbing coffees or making sure
Yeah,
the call sheets are just." I
for sure.
think I just disagree because, working in this industry, you need to be confident in yourself to take those type of jobs. Know that you can take, the PA gig or be the bottom of the totem pole because you're confident in yourself to grow and rise above it. And being a PA is so important in learning how the film industry works in general. So I guess what I would say is have some confidence. Um, Apply for those PA gigs. Even if you don't know what's going on, you will know by the end of the first week, you will have a much clearer perspective on how a film is made just by standing and watching, right? I've learned the most when I was at the bottom of the totem pole,
Totally.
watching every single department do what they do. And that's why I feel like taking PA gigs every once in a while or for a full time is so crucial to career development,
Yeah.
whether it be international, local, or in big cities like New York, Atlanta, or LA. But yeah, for those who want to get involved in film, I also want to say 7 to 8 is here for your participation. A film needs the maker and the watcher. Otherwise, we would just be making films for no reason. So always remember that this is a community thing. And please reach out to people at 7 to 8 or Off the Script Films. We're more than happy to hear your feedback. And we are one of a kind because we love making movies and we love watching movies. So do not hesitate to reach out. But to wrap up everything, Ben, I am so pleased to get to pick your brain today. Rarely do I get to speak to somebody who works in live television or as a part of a unit, let alone SNL, one of the biggest live TV networks out there, which is I'm still starstruck if I'm completely being honest.
Very
But
nice.
your thoughts, the way you think about the industry and the way you navigate your own professional life is very impressive, is very inspiring, and I think a lot of people agree with me when I say having a career that you live right now is pretty successful.
Oh,
But
thank you. It's
yeah.
very nice. Yeah. Thank you.
Of
Thank you.
course, of course. This gives me more reasons to go to New York. Right now, you're like my fourth person that I say I'm gonna go to New York and I'm gonna go see you. I know, I know. I'm
Four's enough. Four's enough, my friend. But keep
or
going with
should be enough.
Pittsburgh too. Don't forget about
Oh yes, yes, yes.
all that.
Please come down to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh. 7 to 8, and Pittsburgh will be more than happy to host you. But I need to make my way up to New York.
for
Otherwise, I'm
sure.
gonna have a crowd of people to meet in like 4 days. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and end this webinar. And if you guys want any recaps, it's going to be posted on LinkedIn and Instagram. So keep an eye out on that. But this is a wrap on episode 5 with Ben Asciutto, who works for